Good morning. I am Heather Bloom. This is April 28th. I believe it's a Tuesday. I only know the date for sure because yesterday was the 27th, and that's my daddy's birthday. Um, but I am pretty sure it's Tuesday. I'm a speaker, trainer, consultant, and coach out of the Seattle, Washington area. And today I want to talk to you a little bit about coping mechanisms and how they can fail and what to do when they do. So, everybody has different coping mechanisms. Some people cope by just internalizing things, some people cope by externalizing them. I've seen people use everything from going to trivia night at a bar with their friends as a coping mechanism to painting or writing. Those last two are my preferred coping mechanisms. I've also seen people use exercise as a coping mechanism, which is great. If that works for you, that's awesome. Um, but under times of direct and intense stress, like we're in right now, where things are kind of unpredictable and we don't really know what's going on, it can be a lot harder to make those coping mechanisms work for you. They're not, frankly, they're not trained or you're not trained to adapt like that. So, for example, I'll take myself. Um, I do a lot of writing. I've been writing since third grade, basically, little stories here and there. And I have so many unfinished novels that no one will ever read because I'm almost positive they're terrible. Um, but I also have things that I do like contract writing, like with my blog, or I produce resources for companies, that kind of thing. And I thought that I would be able to do a pretty good job even when this thing had hit because I had the writing and I've never had a problem really producing writing for a very long time before. I mean, you get writer's block for a couple of days, but then it goes away. I literally sat in front of my computer last week for, I'd say, 6 hours with a Word document open and stared at it because I could not word. I had no words. I didn't know how to string together a cognizant sentence. And for someone who is very verbally focused, like I am, that's really disturbing. It's very intimidating. And to have it happen day after day after day after day, it can really start to wear on you. And you start to wonder if there's something seriously wrong with you. And I know that there's not something seriously wrong with me. I just know that my coping mechanism isn't up to the task of a pandemic. And I think I can cut it a little slack for that if it's not up to the task of a pandemic. It's never had to face one before. This is all new to it. Same thing with my art. I can't seem to produce anything creatively, and it's very frustrating. And I start to think about, oh well, maybe I'm just taking this too hard. Why can't I just be? And I hate this word, guys. Why can't I just be normal? You know, like my friends and my neighbors who are still functional during this time and completely have their stuff together. Pardon me, I'm not going to curse. Have their stuff together. And then I realized that I'm not my friends and my neighbors. I'm me. And I have to get my stuff together my way. Their way isn't going to work, just mine. My way is the only way that's going to work for me. And so my way means that I have to try to understand why I am so creatively blocked. It means that I have to give myself a little bit of grace here and understand that my brain is attempting to process a whole lot more emotions and stress and everything than it needs to, or than it means to, or normally would. It has to process whatever it can to get through this. And that just, the processing power of your brain is kind of finite. Once you're running too many things up there, it sort of shuts down. Um, and believe me, if I could control, alt, delete, restart my brain, I totally would, but I don't know how to do that. So I just have to wait until the other processes stop running so that there's enough cycles up there for me to be able to get back to creativity. So when my coping mechanism fails, I feel extremely broken. So I have to find alternative coping mechanisms. For some people, one of their best coping mechanisms is that they run or that they exercise or do yoga. And that's awesome. If those are your coping mechanisms, I am super jealous because they're not mine and I wish they were. Um, Mine are usually art and writing. Uh, I tend to, if those two things fail me, I tend to turn to gardening and baking. And I've found that those can be helpful when I'm not feeling terribly creative because I don't really have a lot of creativity in the baking area. I just follow the recipe. And I know that if I follow the recipe, it should turn out correctly. Um, in the garden, I know that if I plant something correctly, it should in theory grow, although that's always, like a 70% crapshoot. Um, it's okay if your coping mechanisms right now aren't working at their full potential. And it's a great time to explore alternative coping mechanisms. And I'm not encouraging you here to go out and get drunk or get high. But I'm just saying that there are alternative coping mechanisms out there to the ones that you're used to using. You just have to open up your eyes to see what ones they may be. Um, like I said, normally for me it's art and writing. Right now it's baking and gardening. Try to find something. Just try something that you wouldn't normally do. Try to find something out of your normal wheelhouse. It may be novel enough for you that it engages your brain and is able to move your brain off of the stress repeat in the thoughts that you have right now. Anyway, I hope this has been helpful for you. And I hope you're doing okay. Just remember that you matter and someone does care. I care. And please be gentle with yourself, be good to each other, and take care of each other. I'll see you guys later.